good afternoon, good afternoon. It is another beautiful day in paradise. Well, that is something that I like to say personally. Welcome back to Growth Techniques with Farmer Bean, and I am your host, Farmer Bean. I hope y'all all had a blessed weekend. Um, it was a beautiful weekend here on the island. The sun was shining. Pretty sure y'all's plants got some nice sun, some nice vitamin D right up in it. Make your plants smile. Yes, yes, it's a beautiful thing. Today I want to talk about watering and also feeding your plants, when and really how to feed your plants. So basically, let's start off with the watering. Now, a lot of people have trouble when it comes to watering the plants. Um, some people run the risk of giving the plants too much water. Now, when it comes to watering your plants, let's say, for instance, we have the indoor growers. Not the indoor growers precise like greenhouse, but like house plants, house flowers, and or any type of house plants that are in a pot. These people run a risk of overwatering your plants because one thing that I've noticed a lot of people do is they leave the water inside the saucer that's underneath the pot. Now that's one thing that you don't want to do is you do not want to leave the water inside that saucer. You have the saucer underneath your pot. You want to, and after you water your plant and the rest of the remaining water drizzles out into the saucer, you want to make sure that you empty that out. You do not want your pen, the bottom of your pot, sitting in water. Cause one thing, cause your roots, they tend to go to the bottom of the pot. Once your roots in the bottom of the pot and they're constantly sitting in water, one thing that it's gonna do is gonna wrinkle up, it's gonna shrivel up, and it's gonna die. It's gonna create pythium, and as I talked about in one of my last videos, pythium comes by overwatering your plants. Um, and that's what happens, overwatering, leaving water inside your saucer. Um, that can be overwatering your plant. Your plants, your roots itself are just sitting in water. Once one day, tell me, you go for a swim. Every time you go into the water, you empty the water for about a half an hour to an hour. You come out of the water, you look at your hands, you look at your feet, you're all wrinkled up. Yes, 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 yes. Your plants will do the same thing. Your roots will do the same thing as your skin. They are sensitive. So if you keep them sitting in water, they will wrinkle up just like you if you go in water for too long. So that's one thing that you gotta watch. And always before you water, one second. One thing before you water, you always want to make sure that your plant is even ready to be watered. Now, a lot of people. Oh. Now, a lot of people water the plants because they come in from work and they just think, oh, let me check the plants and just give them some water and just give them some water. No, you don't really want to do that. You want to make sure that you check your soil before you water your plants, because even though it may look that it's dry on the top, it's not necessarily dry underneath. So what I always do before I water any of my plants that are in a pot is I take my finger and I stick my finger to my second knuckle right into the soil. And if the tip of my finger still feels moist, still feels a bit damp, then I'm not gonna water, because I know that at the bottom of that pot it's still wet and the plant has not sucked up all the water from the last time you have watered it. So I'm gonna let that sit. I'm gonna let that dry. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna let it dry out. Let it drink the remaining water. Let the plant drink the remaining water that's in that soil before I water it again. And next time I do water it, when I put my finger in, when my tip of my finger reaches that, and my soil reaches the tip of my knuckle, second knuckle, I'm gonna make sure that's dry. Cause if it's dry, it's just ready to be watered. Most definitely. That's one of the techniques that I use to check to see if my plant's ready to be watered. Stick your finger in to your second knuckle. Tip your finger if it's dry, it's just ready to be watered. If it's moist, then let it dry out a little bit more before you water it again. Now, a lot of people like, oh, just give it a little bit of water, it will be alright. No, 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 no. No, not necessarily, because you always have to make sure that you let your plants dry out a little in between watering. I mean, if you keep the soil consistently moist, even if you take the rest of the water out of the source underneath the pot, but you keep your soil consistently moist, your roots are still consistently sitting in wetness, consistently sitting in wetness, and it's not drinking enough of the water to enable it to dry out. So you're just giving it more water, and you're just giving it more water. So it's like it's swimming. It's just basically swimming. You empty out the bottom, yes, but the soil itself is still wet. You may have to make sure that you let your soil dry out in between waterings. It's a very important thing. Always, it's like breathing. Let the plant breathe for 2 seconds before you water it again. It's very important. Now, when it comes to fertilizing your plants, now a lot of people fertilize twice a week. Now, let's say someone wants to fertilize on a Monday and fertilize on a Wednesday. That's okay. It's beautiful. Fertilize at the beginning of the week, fertilize at the end of the week, and let it run. It's a beautiful thing. Now, a lot of people tend to over fertilize. Now, when you have a fertilizer like Jack's Classics or any of the granule fertilizers or powder fertilizer, you always have to make sure that you read the directions on the back of the box before you fertilize. That tells you exactly how much fertilizer to use, to how much water, if it's a water soluble or if you have to mix it into the soil. If you have to mix it into your soil, it will tell you how much to mix per square yard or per square foot. But reading the directions on the back of the box is important, because if you put too much fertilizer, you run the risk of over fertilizing your plants. Once you over fertilize your plants, your leaves are going to go very dark. You may even stunt the growth. People might say feed it more, it will grow more. Sometimes that works, but to an extent. Sometimes it does not. You overwater your plants and it's not going to turn out good for you. Trust me and believe. It will not turn out good if you overwater your plants. Not overwater, overfeed your plants. You have to make sure you maintain a feeding schedule to it. Even when, like saying there, as it comes to water, you want to make sure that it has time to breathe in between feedings. You don't want to consistently feed it. Now, if you are consistently giving it food or plant food every day, then the dilution that you use when you're doing it twice a week, you don't want to use that dilution every day. You want to cut it down dramatically. I mean, completely cut it down to where you're only putting so much. So if you have a gallon, a tablespoon of plant food, which comes in a powder form, to a gallon of water, and you do that, and that's where you water twice a week. That dilution, you want to cut it down. So let's say a quarter tablespoon to a gallon of water. If you're gonna water more than twice a week, that's how you will cut it down. You don't want to put too much. You don't want to use the full amount, because you're gonna overwater. You're gonna overfeed your plants if you're consistently doing it every day. If you want to feed your plants food every day, then you have to cut down the dilution of plant food that you put into your water, so you don't run the risk of overfeeding. Now, I typically believe that is it for today. It is a short video today, but I want to make sure that I got at least the watering down, and also the plant food down, because a lot of people was asking me questions about watering and feeding your plants. So I wanted to really get that across today. Please like the video, share the video for anybody else that may want to know. Subscribe to the page for any notifications on new videos every day, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Like I said, it's another beautiful day in paradise. Yes, it did. Have a blessed